Hello, and welcome back to the Art Coaching Club podcast. I'm your host, Haley White, artist, business coach for artists, and gallery owner for the gallery, The Scouted Studio. Today, I am really excited because we are interviewing one of my good friends, artist Susie Stokes Gibson. She is incredibly talented. She actually just launched an incredible line of charcoal paintings, her 60s collection. But before we get into her interview and a little bit of background on Susie, I want to break down what we're talking about in the Substack this week, which is TikTok. And this is actually very relevant because Susie is an artist that uses TikTok. We talk about it a lot in the club. It is something she's interested in. So if you're like, no, TikTok's not for me, skip ahead, just listen to the interview. But I do recommend at least listening a little bit because I've learned a lot in my 10-ish months I've been on TikTok. And I feel like it's worth at least knowing about the platform, even if you aren't on it, because I was someone that was very, very skeptical. So I'm going to share today how I grew my TikTok following in 10 months, and it has surpassed my Instagram following, which I've been working on for like over 10 years. I am referencing both the Haley Price White accounts just because I only have one TikTok account. And on that account, I kind of cover the Scouted Studio, the Art Coaching Club, and my personal art on there. I just kind of like throw it all under one thing because like I can't have more than one account. So just kind of keep that in mind. But we're going to get into it, and then if you are subscribed, we will get even deeper some numbers, how much I actually made from TikTok, how many people are buying the DMs, because yes, people are. We're going to break all of that down in Thursday's Substack. So let's get into it. If you are somebody who is TikTok curious, let's say, maybe you're new to the platform, you're considering the platform, I'll share a little bit about my journey. So I downloaded the app late 2024. I probably didn't start posting really intentionally until after my wedding. So I'd say like late November, December 2024. And that's because my good friend who is in tech sales, we kind of jokingly started around the same time. And she was like, let's race to 1,000. Because I think when you hit 1,000, you can have a link in your bio on TikTok. And it was just kind of an arbitrary number. So we decided to do that. We just had fun with it. She did beat me, but I surpassed her. I surpassed it the next day. So we were very neck and neck, which was really fun. But that's really how we got into it. And I will say I posted pretty consistently, but I don't think I really hit my groove until maybe March of this year. Like I just was posting random stuff. I was posting stuff for my wedding. I had one post for my rehearsal dinner for my wedding go viral. It got 220 something thousand views, but that it was random. So like, did that lead to followers? It didn't actually lead to as many as you would think. But anyways, I've learned a lot since then. So first, I want to break down the difference between Instagram and TikTok. So it's kind of what you would expect. Instagram is definitely the polished gallery wall versus TikTok is more raw, more real. I think Instagram is trying to kind of pull aspects of that. We'll see how that evolves later in 2025, but I would say for the most part, what performs on Instagram doesn't always perform on TikTok. I think a lot of artists are hesitant to be on TikTok because they think their audience isn't going to be there. They think it's young, they think it's, they just think it's a different market. And in some ways it is. People are going there more to be entertained. But I actually think it's a really wonderful way to build your brand as an artist because I think our personal brands as business owners are so, so, so important. And TikTok is such a great place to build that because I feel like it's a place where I'm showing my authentic personality. So I feel like I need to be a little bit more curated and polished and have great cover photos on Instagram, whereas TikTok, like your grid doesn't really matter. If I put up a TikTok that just flops, I don't really care. It's just different. I also would say the difference between the two is Instagram feels like slow, steady growth, and you kind of have to like work the algorithm system. Whereas TikTok, I probably have a post go viral. And when I say viral, I mean like I don't know, 50,000 views, but I would say I hit at least 10,000 views monthly, but I probably have a more viral post. And this is again viral for me. I would say I have a post go more viral like maybe every other month. So that's the difference between TikTok and Instagram is you have that virality opportunity. People often explain TikTok to me as a lottery ticket. It's like you just got to keep playing. Your odds are a little better than the lottery, and eventually something will hit. And so I find that that has been huge. And so the other thing is we did both hit 1,000. We both hit 1,000 really quickly. She was more niche. She was just doing sales tips for people in tech sales. So she hit it with a very niche topic. I was a little bit broader because I was covering Haley Price White art, coaching, and the gallery. And so I think you can kind of go either way with TikTok. I'm not going to say you definitely need to niche down or you definitely need to be really broad. I actually think it's a great place to show your personality and maybe be not quite as niche as you are on Instagram. Just something I'm throwing out there. But I found that really interesting. And then it's what's really worked for me over there is the behind the scenes content, the storytelling, like personality videos, being like really not edited, not wearing makeup, just like throwing something up. Like if you think of something and you're like, I wonder if other people feel this way, that's the kind of stuff that I would throw up on TikTok and it would like randomly do super well. And it's not always specifically art related, but something I find really interesting on TikTok that I think any artist can implement tomorrow is I would say the art turnaround videos do so well. Those go viral for me all the time, and it's just me turning around my art. It's as simple as that. It's so basic. And I mean, they really consistently get 10,000, 20,000. Even I have one that's at like 70,000 views right now. And it's, grown me a lot of followers. So that's something I think if you're going to start on TikTok, start with that. It's so easy. And then you can branch into the more like, I don't know, exploratory personality, potentially cringy type stuff. But you can definitely check me out to see the different types of things I'm posting to get an idea of kind of like how people use it. So those are the types of things that do really well. But again, perfection just doesn't really matter. And that editing doesn't really matter as much on this platform. It's more about showing up, being consistent, and showing up more. To grow my account, I've been really showing up at least daily, but sometimes 2 or 3 times a day because it's these kind of like unedited, random, raw videos. And I like repost stuff and it's talking heads. So I literally just hold up the camera, chat, and post it. It just takes so much less time for me now that I'm in the groove and I understand it than Instagram. A couple things I want to point out. Why do I think TikTok is really great for artists right now? I actually think competition is relatively low. There are more, in my perspective, there are more hobbyists on the platform than professionals emerging, like the artists you're competing with on Instagram. So I actually think it's a really wonderful platform. And I think that's why I've been able to sell so many of my reading girls direct in the DMs in TikTok. And I've just been amazed. Like people have spent $500 here on like a big painting. It wasn't just little prints or anything. I don't sell prints right now. So it wasn't even anything like that. So I think that's really important to understand. I will say TikTok buyers are a little bit more impulsive and it is more of I mentioned this earlier, it's more of a fun platform. People are going on there to be entertained even more so than Instagram. So I do see a lot of people having more success with like smaller prints, things like that. But like I said, my big pieces have sold. So I don't think you should write that off. So basically, I would say in terms of like buyer behavior and platform behavior, Instagram is more of a slow burn. Whereas TikTok has these like crazy spikes of engagement. Like right now, I've had pretty consistently, I would say 10 posts in a row have gotten, 400 to maybe just under 1,000 views. But I know before the end of the week, I'll have one that does really well. It's just kind of the way TikTok is. Versus on Instagram, I'm pretty consistently getting, 1,000, 2,000 views, but I'm not getting any that really spike super high outside of that. It's just different. The platforms are different. So I just want to share that kind of where we are with stats right now. At the time I'm recording this, I'm recording it about a week early. I think I'm at 2,700-ish on my Haley Price White Instagram, and I am at 3,700, 3,500, 3,700-ish on TikTok. And like I mentioned, I really didn't start taking TikTok seriously until basically December 2024. So it's fast growth. I also feel like it's good clients. I mean, people are buying stuff and it's different. That's what I find really interesting is it's different clients on TikTok than Instagram. So it's a good secondary source. It's not just the same people following me across. I will say people generally don't follow you from Instagram to TikTok, but the reverse is true. I've had a lot of people that have found me on TikTok and then sought out my Instagram. So it's actually helped with my Instagram growth. I also think that another benefit if you're kind of fighting the Instagram Reels right now is pretty much 90%, if not all trends, especially like real trends, start on TikTok and then they make their way to Instagram. So I actually think it would really behoove you to be on TikTok because you can learn the trend, post it there, and if it does well on your account, bring it over and post it on Instagram almost like before the trend even hits or like right when the trend hits. So I think that's a small benefit. And then my content strategy, yes, I've mentioned different things perform kind of on different platforms, and I do have different content strategies for each. But if something performs exceptionally well on TikTok and it, would fit the vibe of one of my Instagram accounts, I do pull it over to Instagram and post it as a reel there. And something that's really easy that you can't necessarily do in the reverse is every time I post something on Instagram, it automatically saves that video to my camera roll without a watermark. So that's just a setting. And so then I can just post on Instagram. So easy. Usually I'll add like Instagram's audio or Instagram's captions just so they feel like I'm editing it in their app. But it's really nice because if you download something from Instagram, generally it's going to have that watermark. I think you can use the new Edits app to avoid that, but I haven't explored that enough to really give you fair information. So that's just a couple of or a little bit of a quick rundown of TikTok, things I want to share with you because I've gained so many followers. I've had two reels. I had one reel that gave me, I think, 1,500 new followers. I mean, not one reel, sorry, one TikTok, which is crazy. And so then I've just mimicked that type of content and consistently gotten 600 new followers. I think I have one that's getting me like 300 new followers right now. Every time I open the app, I have new followers, which is crazy. And they're artists. They're people I want to be working with. Some are clients. It depends on like the type of content I'm sharing. But yeah, like I said, lots of opportunity there. So I definitely wanted to dive into this today. And I promise you, even more details will be in Thursday's Substack, especially if you are a paid subscriber.